Dubai's economic growth has for years been unparalleled in the region, transforming the desert into an oasis of architectural audacity.
So some loud explosions, several of them across Dubai this morning.
The morning began with that unmistakable sound of military aircraft, jets flying low over the city.
What happens when the symbol of a city's ambition is caught in the crossfire of the world? The Burj Al Arab, Dubai's iconic sail-shaped tower, was never meant to be just a building. It was a statement, a declaration that a desert outpost could rewrite the rules of luxury, power, and perception. For decades, it defined the city, the nation, and the idea that boldness alone could command attention. But on February 28, 2026, the world was reminded how fragile even the grandest myths can be. A stray missile, a spark, smoke rising from the facade of the hotel that had come to embody Dubai itself.
Were attacked. The Burj Al Arab was also attacked, the Burj Khalifa. Both the iconic hotels of Dubai were attacked and things like that.
No lives lost, no alarm sounded. Yet the image traveled faster than any statement, shaking the story Dubai had spent decades telling. This is the story of ambition, spectacle, and the thin line between legend and vulnerability. To Dubai's icon, the impossible made visible. The story begins not with concrete or steel, but with a ruler's conviction and an architect's answer to an impossible brief. In 1993, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, then Crown Prince of Dubai, identified something that his rapidly developing city fundamentally lacked. Sydney had its Opera House. Paris had its Eiffel Tower. New York had a skyline so distinctive a child could draw it from memory. Dubai had ambition, capital, and a coastline. What it did not have was a single building the world would recognize on sight. Sheikh Mohammed wanted to fix that, not with the tallest structure, that would come later with the Burj Khalifa, but with the most visually unforgettable, a building that would become the city itself in the global imagination. And the brief was handed to the British firm W.S. Atkins, and architect Tom Wright took the lead. His answer was audacious, a building shaped like the billowing sail of an Arabian dhow, the traditional wooden boat that had defined Gulf maritime culture for centuries. The form was a masterstroke, simultaneously futuristic and rooted in regional heritage, modern yet unmistakably Arabian. But the engineering challenges were staggering. The building would rise from its own artificial island, constructed on reclaimed seabed roughly 280 meters offshore from Jumeirah Beach, positioned deliberately so that its shadow would never fall across the beachfront. Construction began on July 8, 1994. Creating the island alone required 3 years of work. 230 concrete piles, each 40 meters long, were driven deep into the seabed, then capped with a massive concrete raft weighing more than 70,000 tons. Engineers designed a honeycomb arrangement of rocks encased in concrete to protect the foundation from marine erosion. The island had to withstand the Gulf's tidal forces, wind loads, and seismic risk. It was in every sense a foundation built from nothing in the middle of the sea. Then the building itself went up. 3,000 companies and contractors, 250 designers from the UK, the US, and Dubai, 3,500 workers on site at any given time, over 70,000 cubic meters of concrete, and 9,000 tons of steel. The construction consumed another 3 years. The hotel opened on December 1st, 1999, and the world had genuinely never seen anything like it. At 321 meters, it stood among the tallest hotels on the planet. Its central atrium soared 180 meters, the tallest in the world, flooded with natural light and flanked by golden columns, with a fountain whose water arches shot 42 meters into the air. The double-membrane Teflon-coated fiberglass facade was engineered to shift color throughout the day, blazing white at noon, turning deep gold at sunset, glowing against the night sky when illuminated from within. 202 duplex suites range from 170 square meters to the enormous Royal Suite at 780 square meters, commanding upwards of $24,000 per night. Every suite came with a 24-hour private butler. 8 dedicated staff members were assigned to each one. The construction cost exceeded $1 billion, But the return on that investment was never primarily measured in room revenue. It was measured in attention. And the attention came in waves. In 2004, Tiger Woods stood on the hotel's helipad, 210 meters above the Gulf, and teed off into open water, the photograph becoming one of the most reproduced sports images of the decade. In February 2005, Roger Federer, then the world's #1 ranked player, and Andre Agassi played a friendly tennis match on the same helipad, converted into a grass court at 211 meters, setting a Guinness World Record for the highest altitude tennis court that still stands today. "The view is absolutely amazing here," Federer said at the time. "This was an absolute treat."
Sort of the drama of being up so high, and you come up those stairs and you actually see they put a tennis court down here. It's quite a feeling, because once you start playing, all you're seeing is the ball again, and it's pretty sort of a free feeling out here.
In 2013, when Chinese table tennis champions Malong and Liu Xuan competed on the platform. In 2017, professional kite surfer Nick Jacobson achieved a world first by launching off it with his kiteboard. In 2023, pilot Łukasz Czepiela landed a fixed-wing Carbon Cub aircraft on the same circular pad. Each stunt reinforced the same narrative. At the Burj Al Arab, the impossible is routine. The building appeared on magazine covers and airline advertisements, in films and television, and on the mental map of anyone who had ever dreamed of going somewhere extraordinary. A visiting British journalist described the experience as beyond 5 stars, and the label 7-star hotel, a rating that officially exists nowhere on Earth, attached itself to the building permanently. The hotel never used the term in its own marketing. It didn't need to. The mythology had already taken on a life of its own. Dubai wasn't merely building a hotel, it was constructing a brand identity visible from space, recognizable in any language, and synonymous with one message: here, the rules don't apply. Here, the future has already arrived. And the Burj Al Arab was the logo. When luxury meets its limits, what the Burj Al Arab sold was never really a hotel room. Let's be honest about that. It was a feeling. The feeling that you had arrived, not at a destination, but at a status. That by walking through those doors, stepping into a lobby where the ceiling disappears into a column of gold and blue light 180 meters above your head, you had crossed a threshold into a world that most people only glimpse in photographs. The gold-plated bathroom fixtures, the private butler assigned to every floor, the fleet of white Rolls-Royce Phantoms available to ferry you from the airport. These were not amenities, they were signals, psychological proof of membership in a club that most of humanity could only observe from the other side of the bridge. And here's what made it work on a global scale. You didn't even have to stay there to buy into the narrative. Millions of people who would never spend $20,000 on a hotel room still carried the Burj Al Arab in their imagination as proof that such a world existed. That somewhere on this planet, perfection was not aspirational, but operational. That was the product, not the suite, the dream. Dubai built an entire urban philosophy around this principle. The Burj Al Arab was the prototype, but the formula was replicated at breathtaking scale. In the Palm Jumeirah, an artificial archipelago shaped like a palm tree, visible from space, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest structure humans have ever built, at 828 meters. The Dubai Mall, one of the largest shopping complexes on Earth, housing an aquarium and an ice rink and a full-scale indoor waterfall. The Museum of the Future, a building shaped like an eye with no internal columns, wrapped in Arabic calligraphy.
This is Museum of the Future in Dubai, the Emirates. This building is unique because it looks like a human eye, an eye looking at the future.
Each project reinforced the same message. Dubai does not accept the limitations of geography, history, or nature. If it can be imagined, it will be built. And if it can be built, it will be the best in the world. The strategy worked spectacularly. By 2024, Dubai was welcoming nearly 20 million international visitors annually. As Dubai International Airport had become the world's busiest hub for international passenger traffic, handling over 95 million travelers a year. The city's tourism sector alone was generating more than $30 billion in annual revenue. Real estate values in premium districts were rivaling London's Mayfair and Manhattan's Upper East Side. But embedded in all of this, woven into the very fabric of the brand, was a vulnerability that almost nobody talked about publicly. Dubai's promise rested on an unspoken guarantee: safety. Not just physical safety, though that was essential, psychological safety. The implicit assurance that here, in this engineered paradise of glass towers and man-made islands, the chaos of the wider Middle East simply could not reach you. You could sip champagne on a rooftop bar at sunset while conflicts burned in countries a few hundred miles away and feel absolutely, completely, luxuriously untouched. That promise held for decades. It held through the Iraq War, through the Syrian civil war.
Syrian army and its allies continue to press forward, hoping to bring the whole of Aleppo under the control of Bashar al-Assad.
Through multiple rounds of Iran-Israel tensions and proxy conflicts that turned neighboring countries inside out. Dubai's unofficial slogan might as well have been, "Come here and the world's problems stay at the door," until the night they walked right in. The moment everything shifted. The timeline is important. Let me walk you through it. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated military strikes against Iran, targeting the country's nuclear infrastructure, military installations, and command centers. The operation escalated rapidly. In response, Iran's military launched retaliatory waves of ballistic missiles and drones, not only at Israel, but at countries across the Gulf region.
Iran has been sharpening its attacks on Israel and the Gulf states despite intense American and Israeli bombing
that hosted American military bases and assets. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan were all targeted. The UAE bore a disproportionate share of the assault. According to the UAE Ministry of Defense, Iran fired 137 missiles and 209 drones at the country in the initial barrage. The vast majority were intercepted by air defense systems. But interception is not invisible. It is violent, loud, and messy. Falling debris, fragments of destroyed drones, spent interceptor components, shrapnel, rained across Dubai and Abu Dhabi. On Palm Jumeirah, the artificial island synonymous with Dubai's luxury lifestyle, a Shahed-type drone struck near the Fairmont Hotel, causing an explosion that injured 4 people, blew out windows in surrounding buildings, and sent a column of black smoke into the sky, visible from across the city. At Zayed International Airport in Abu Dhabi, shrapnel from an intercepted drone killed 1 person, a Pakistani national, and injured 7 others. Dubai International Airport, the busiest international airport on the planet, sustained damage to a concourse at Terminal 3, triggering a full evacuation of the building. And at the Burj Al Arab, the building that had spent 27 years representing the idea of untouchable luxury, debris from an intercepted drone caused a fire on the hotel's outer facade. The Dubai media office confirmed the fire was minor. Civil defense teams extinguished it quickly, so no injuries were reported. Structural inspections found no significant damage to the building's framework. The hotel resumed operations shortly afterward, with some lower sections temporarily closed for repairs. By any engineering measure, the incident was contained, but by any psychological measure, it was catastrophic. Within minutes, videos of smoke curling from the base of the Burj Al Arab were spreading across every social media platform on Earth. Headlines around the world declared variations of iconic Dubai hotel struck by Iranian drone. The narrative escalated far faster than the facts could keep up. The distinction between debris from an intercepted drone caused a minor facade fire.
The drone was intercepted and the debris caused a minor fire at the Burj Al Arab's outer facade, and the civil defense teams have responded immediately.
And the Burj Al Arab was attacked, collapsed almost instantly in the global media cycle. Caught in that collapse, the gap between what happened and what the world believed happened would prove far more damaging than any physical fire. Because for people who had never visited Dubai but knew the silhouette of that sail-shaped tower, the way they knew the Eiffel Tower or the Statue of Liberty, the image was visceral, primal, the symbol of untouchable luxury, burning. It didn't matter that the fire was minor. It didn't matter that the structure was fine. The photograph, smoke against the sail, rewrote a narrative that Dubai had spent $1 billion in 3 decades constructing. The physical fire was out in minutes. The symbolic fire would burn for weeks. When myths break, the numbers arrived like body blows, one after another. Within the first week of the strikes, over 23,000 flights had been canceled globally, according to data from aviation analytics firm Cirium. Dubai International Airport, which normally processed thousands of departures and arrivals daily serving over 95 million passengers annually, saw roughly 80% of its operations suspended. UAE airspace was closed entirely, then partially reopened under a safe air corridor arrangement.
The UAE's Civil Aviation Authority announced the full and temporary closure as an exceptional precautionary measure as the country faces threats of incoming missile and drone attacks from Iran.
Negotiated with military authorities that allowed Emirates, Etihad, and Fly Dubai to resume limited operations, around 106 daily return flights, approximately 60% of Emirates' normal network, by March 6th. Hotel bookings across Dubai plummeted by more than 60% almost overnight. To properties that had been running at near-peak winter season occupancy, some of the most profitable weeks in the hospitality calendar, suddenly faced cascading waves of cancellations. Industry analysts describe the tourism sector as paralyzed. Estimates from the World Travel and Tourism Council suggested the broader Middle East region was hemorrhaging between $550 and $650 million per day in lost tourism revenue. Some analyses placed Dubai's individual daily losses at roughly $500 million. Over 20,000 travelers were stranded in the UAE.
Now, the Iran war is beginning to shake global tourism as airspace disruptions, flight cancellations, and geopolitical uncertainty hit international travel.
Unable to leave, the government stepped in, directing hotels to extend guest stays at government expense and coordinating emergency logistics. Cruise lines rerouted ships away from the Gulf entirely. MSC Cruises, whose 6,300 passenger vessel MSC Euribia sat docked in Dubai unable to sail, began chartering flights to repatriate guests to Europe. Reports emerged of desperate travelers paying over $200,000 for private jet evacuations. Henry Hartvelt, founder of the travel consultancy Atmosphere Research Group, called it the most significant disruption to global travel since the September 11th attacks, excluding the COVID-19 pandemic. We have not seen anything like this ever outside of, frankly, the COVID pandemic, he told Fortune magazine. This has destabilized travel on the 6 populated continents of the Earth. Countries around the world issued travel warnings for the UAE tour operators, suspended bookings indefinitely. Corporate travel departments flagged the entire Gulf region as high risk.
The world's busiest international airport have been largely grounded, stranding hundreds of thousands of passengers in the worst crisis for air travel since the COVID pandemic. With more on the potential impact on tourism in the Gulf states.
An analyst at JP Morgan cautioned that the conflict was already slowing non-oil economic growth across the Gulf, with tourism identified as the sector most immediately and visibly exposed. Abu Dhabi and Dubai stock exchanges took the unprecedented step of suspending trading on March 2nd and 3rd, the first wartime closure in UAE market history. When markets reopened on March 4th, the Dubai Financial Market Index fell more than 5% in its first session, with banking and real estate stocks hit hardest. But behind every one of these numbers was a human being. Think about the hotel staff, thousands of them across the city, many expatriates from South Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Africa, living on wages tied directly to occupancy rates, service charges, and tips. Or people who had moved to Dubai because the city's booming hospitality industry promised steady work and the chance to send money home to families in Manila, Dhaka, Colombo, and Nairobi. When the corridors emptied and the lobbies went silent, those workers didn't just lose income, they lost the reason they were there. Think about the restaurant owners along the beachfront who had invested their savings in a location chosen specifically because of its proximity to tourist traffic that never seemed to stop. The taxi drivers whose entire livelihood depended on airport runs, the tour guides, the souvenir vendors, The cleaning crews and laundry workers and spa therapists, an entire ecosystem of human labor, hundreds of thousands of people, built around the gravitational pull of a symbol, suddenly weightless. This is the part the numbers don't capture, the human cost of a broken narrative, the fragile power of image. Here is what the Burj Al Arab incident reveals, and I want you to sit with this because it's bigger than Dubai and bigger than one building. We live in an era where the image of a thing can be more economically powerful than the thing itself. The Burj Al Arab is, at its physical core, a hotel. It has rooms, restaurants, a spa, a pool, a helipad. But the economic value of the Burj Al Arab was never really contained in its rooms. It was contained in what the building represented: invincibility. The idea that human ambition, backed by limitless capital and limitless vision, could construct something that transcended the messiness of the world around it. Something untouchable. That is what Dubai sold. Not just to tourists, but to investors, to corporations, to the ultra-wealthy individuals who parked their money and their families in the city because they believed it existed in a permanent zone of exception. Not concrete and steel, not gold leaf and Italian marble, but the dream of a place where perfection was not aspirational. It was operational, where everything worked, every surface gleamed, and nothing unwanted could ever intrude. The February 2026 strikes didn't destroy the Burj Al Arab. They barely scratched it physically. The facade was repaired, the hotel reopened, guests returned, but the strikes did something potentially more consequential than any structural damage could. They forced the world to see, however briefly, that the building exists in the same reality as everything else. That the Gulf's most carefully engineered paradise sits in a geographic region where geopolitical forces, missiles, drones, the retaliatory logic of nations at war, can reach any doorstep, no matter how golden its threshold. And that's the fundamental fragility of symbols. When they function, they are worth billions. They attract investment, tourism, talent, prestige. They make a city legible to the world. But when they crack, even a hairline fracture, even a crack that's repaired within days. The cost isn't measured in construction invoices. It's measured in trust, in the willingness of a family in London to book a summer holiday, in the decision of a corporate board in Singapore to schedule their annual retreat, in the quiet calculations of an investor in New York deciding where to deploy the next 100 million. A physical recovery is engineering. You repair the facade, replace the panels, apply fresh coatings. Dubai is exceptionally good at this. The city has rebuilt after severe flooding, after the 2009 financial crisis that nearly collapsed its property market, after the 2015 New Year's Eve fire.
A massive fire has broken out in a 63-story skyscraper in Dubai that houses the Address Downtown Hotel, and we're told an evacuation is underway.
At the Address Downtown Hotel that blazed spectacularly on live television worldwide. Every time the physical recovery was swift and thorough, but psychological recovery is a different discipline entirely. It requires something that engineering alone cannot provide: time. Time for the old image, the one of untouchable luxury and absolute safety, to gradually reassert itself in the public imagination. Time for the new image: smoke, flame, falling debris, the vulnerability of a place that always promised immunity from exactly this, to slowly fade. So time for prospective visitors to stop searching, "Is Dubai safe to visit?" and start searching Best Dubai Beach Resorts 2027. Dubai has weathered narrative disruptions before and come back stronger each time. That resilience is real and shouldn't be underestimated. But 2026 is different in a critical respect. The 2015 hotel fire was an accident. The 2020 pandemic was a health crisis that affected the entire planet equally. This was a geopolitical event, a targeted military campaign that revealed not a flaw in Dubai's engineering or its public health systems, but a structural feature of its geography. The city sits where it sits, and where it sits is in the middle of a region where great powers compete, settle scores, and occasionally fire missiles at each other. No amount of branding can relocate the Persian Gulf. When the Burj Al Arab still stands, its sail still catches the sun, but the story it tells has subtly shifted. From untouchable legend to a reminder that even the most carefully engineered myths live in a world that doesn't bend to design. Dubai has always thrived on ambition, but ambition meets reality in unexpected ways. The question now isn't whether the city can rebuild. The question is whether the world will ever see it the same way again. And as smoke once rose against the skyline, so too does uncertainty linger over every monument we construct, in steel, in glass, and in belief. So here's what I leave you with. Can a city survive its own mythology, or does every symbol eventually demand a reckoning?